What is good, Celtics Nation? Welcome back to the podcast, guys. We're officially 4 games into the regular season, and the Celtics couldn't really look too much better at this point, especially coming off last night's game versus the Indiana Pacers, won by 51 points. And Ricky, I'm just excited, man. This is like the first time in a long time where I'm like, dude, this is the best roster, the best chemistry-wise team I've seen in a long time, and they're proving it almost every single night on the court so far. We haven't really played any real tough teams. I mean, we played Miami, but they're 1-4 right now. They're not really a regular season team. And then, other than that, we haven't really played any true competition. Maybe the Knicks, they're a good defensive team. They're a playoff team. But even with that being said, I'm so excited with, the direction this team is headed, and especially after that game last night versus the Pacers, man.
Yeah, I mean, and piggybacking off of your competition aspect of this, I mean, it's kind of hard to see other teams as competition when you're so much better than, let's call it 90% of the league. I mean, let's real quick, if we're going to be on this topic, let's talk about teams that are at our level.
Okay,
Suns
Philly, are really good.
Philly,
would you say Philly in there with no James Harden?
I would say we could lose to that team on a given game, and it depending on the matchup. If Embiid's dropping 50, they could beat us for sure. So I'll put them in that category. I'm going to put the Bucks in that category. I'm going to put I'm going to put the Lakers in that category. I'm going to put Denver in that category.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I like all those teams.
And I'm not going to put any other team in that category. And we have a 30-team league, so you play the schedule that you're given, and the fact of the matter is there's only really 2 teams in the West that stir up some competition for you, and it's probably really just Milwaukee that really gives you a week in, week out threat in a regular season competition. Yep. Philly might catch you on an off day, but all these other teams, I mean, they're way better than. And are you going to lose to a bad team? Yeah, you're going to lose to a bad team. That's just how it goes. But you know what? I guess I could put Golden State in that category too.
Yep. What about the Clippers? What do you think about the Clippers? Just getting James Harden, they got Russ, Paul George, Kawhi. No?
Many mouths to feed. That's going to be a disaster. Kawhi's going to want out of there by the end of the season, mark my words. Yeah. He already can't stand your boy Westbrook. Never mind James Harden in that category too. I don't think it's going to be
might be a toxic locker room. Might be a very toxic locker room.
It's not going to be good. I'm telling you right now, that Clippers team does not scare me one bit. It's not that they don't have talent. They have talent, but just too many mouths to feed. And I know you could make the case for Boston, but there's guys that feel like there's buy-in and roles. You got guys like Harden and Westbrook that, they just want to put their points up, and they don't, I don't really think those guys care about championships. I'm going to be honest. They say they do, but I don't really think they do. And I think,
if Kawhi did, he would have stayed in Toronto.
Kawhi got his chips. He got 2 chips with 2 different teams. I mean, he doesn't have really anything to prove. And Harden and Westbrook just want to have fun and play basketball. They're just, the amount of times they've shot their way out of teams. It's like you were in a good situation, then you shot your way out of a team. It's like, I don't take those guys seriously. I mean, they're good players, but to me, they're just more burdens for your organization than they are, winners.
Yeah. So, I mean, with that being said, there's maybe 1, 2, 3 teams that I'm really scared of right now. Bucks, I'm gonna throw in there, even though they're 2-2, like you said. They lost to the Hawks and they lost to the Raptors yesterday by a pretty wide margin. So the Bucks haven't looked relatively amazing at all. They're turning the ball over a ton. When Dame is cold, they're terrible. So the Bucks, yes, have a good roster. If they can find a sense of consistency with this roster, then they'll be good. But right now, man, they look slow, and it is early, so I don't want to, roast them too much. And then 76ers, I don't really know if I'm really scared of the 76ers. I feel like they're maybe a 3-game losing streak away from trading Embiid, if I'm being completely honest. We'll see what goes on with them. I think they really love Maxey, and I don't think they would really be hurt about having to give up Embiid and getting a lot of assets in the future. And then, like you said, Nuggets, Warriors, maybe the Lakers. I think there's the Suns as well when they get healthy. So there are a few teams. There are a few teams that I am scared of. But when you look at what the Celtics are doing this season, Ricky, we rank number 1 in points per game, number 1 in average score margin. We rank number 2, and this is a big one, in rebounds per game. That is a big one. Number 2 in rebounds per game. That is something we've struggled with in the past. We ranked number 5 in 3-point percentage and number 1 in overall effective field goal percentage. This team is dangerous. If anyone's open, they're going to make you pay. And I think right now all 5 of our starters are averaging 13 or more points, which is
this is the best team in the league, Fubs. It's not even a question in my mind. This is the best team in the league. Statistically, if you tell me otherwise, I'd say, it's early. And obviously statistically it is telling you that. So it's just showing that, realistically the last 2 games, I feel like probably catapulted them in some of those categories because we've just been so dominant, especially on the offensive side of the ball the last 2 games. I mean, scoring 155 last night, scoring they didn't score as many points as they should have against the Wizards. I think they scored 117, 127, something like that.
Yep.
Okay, not as many points as probably at one point. It looked like they might have hung up 200 on them.
126 versus the Wizards.
126. Okay,
I think the bench was terrible in the fourth quarter. I had 10 points, something like that.
10 points. So the team could have easily put up 150 in that game if they had played like they played the night before. So the team's put up a ton of points over the last 2 games. Still, 127 is a lot of points. So over the last 2 games, they've, stacked those stats a little bit, which is fine. That's the way you should do it against those teams. But again, I'm not really to go back to the original point of competition. It's this is what happens when you're better than everybody else. I'm not going to compare them to the Warriors team of a couple years back where they have the best record in the NBA, but it's a similar type of caliber of team where you're just so much better than 95% of the teams that you're going to play against. I don't anticipate the record to be that of a Warriors team, but I do anticipate that, over the course of the season, barring injury, we're going to be statistically the better team 95% of the time.
Yeah, and what a major thing is, a major key to all of this is if we continue to blow teams out, we're going to get a lot of rest. And for health, that's going to be big. I mean, the Celtics are averaging, listen to this, 35 points in first quarters, 35 points, and we don't average less than 30 points a quarter. Last year, we were terrible in the fourth quarter or the third quarter? One of those 2, we were terrible. Yeah, third quarters, we were terrible. This year, we're very consistent, man. Again, I always keep saying this, but shout out to Brad Stevens because he actually put a team together that is unselfish, moves the ball well, plays good defense, hustles. I mean, they do all the things that we've been complaining about for years and years and years. I mean, how long did we sit here and be like, dude, we need someone who can rebound the ball, or we just need to box out? Or it's been years. I've been asking for someone to rebound the ball, and Porzingis is not rebound like crazy, but he's boxing out. He's giving Jason Tatum an easy lane to get a rebound and push the tempo. So I'm loving that. Everything just seems better this year, dude. And
yeah,
it just feels good. It feels good watching it. I get excited every time we come on because I'm like, okay, we could win by 50. Might be a close game, but I know that we have what it takes to either make a comeback, hold a lead. It feels different this year, man. And maybe it starts with the coaching staff. Sam Cassell, maybe he's played a big role, or Charles Lee, Paul Pierce Rondo being at practice. Something feels different about this team right now, and hopefully it continues.
It's probably a perfect storm of things, but I think ultimately it's just like Tatum and Brown of hitting that maturity level. Well, we're hoping they're hitting that maturity level because I think that's really what was missing in previous seasons where you on paper, it's last year on paper, we were a finals appearance team, especially if we were the finals appearance the previous season before. The year we lost it, sadly, the team wasn't just mentally ready to win that year. And they were also not mentally ready to go game 7 against Jimmy Butler. So this is a maturity thing that Brown and Tatum are starting to realize, I think, and starting to come into their own way. You look at some of the GOATs, man, the greatest players to ever play this game, and it's almost like clockwork, 6, 7, 8 years into it. Now they're starting to win championships. LeBron, Jordan, all these guys, they didn't win championships right out the gate because there was just a mental part of the game that they just needed to unlock. And granted, they got pieces, but everybody needs help. Not everybody can just go out there and just ball by themselves, drop 60 and win. We haven't seen anything like that since Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson's like the last guy to go to a finals, and it's just like, all right, guys, let's go, put you on your back. Even the LeBron teams had, Kyrie and D Wade and Chris Bosh, and he had all those guys, and now Tatum has Brown, and they have Porzingis, and they have White, and they have Drew. So but you need the maturity too. You
Yeah.
need that pedigree type player, which Drew brings as a champion, right? But
Yep.
now Tatum and Brown hopefully are starting to click in that next level where they're starting to say, okay, this is what we got to do to win a chip. We've lost Eastern Conference Finals. This sucks. We've lost the finals. We know how that feels. That sucks. Hopefully we can take those experiences and those losses. You can learn more in losses than you can in victory. Hopefully take those lessons that you've learned and now apply it and go win a chip. So I'm hoping that it's the guys coming in like Rondo and Pierce and teaching them something, but I think it's also just the maturity factor of them now starting to, I don't want to use the word grow up. I'm just, because they're grown men, but it's,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It's just that mental to that you click over and now you're just starting to think differently than you did your first 3-4 years into the league.
Yeah, at some point you have to start caring less about maybe your individual stats and care more about the team basketball aspect of it. Feed the open man and make that extra pass. Those are the things that matter the most. It's not about putting up 45 points in a game for Tatum or having 20 rebounds for Porzingis. These guys are playing like a unit, and quite frankly, some of them don't even care if they're scoring or if they're just passing or if they're just rebounding. They're doing what it takes to win games, and I feel like that's the most important thing. But guys, before we jump into our predictions for these next week's games, the Nets, Timberwolves, before we jump into that, make sure you guys do us a favor, hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, follow wherever you're watching. We're on Spotify, we're on YouTube, and we're going to start working on other platforms as well, like TikTok and Twitter and all that. So make sure you guys go follow all of the social medias. Links should be in the description. And Ricky, what should they comment on this video?
I mean, comment on your general thoughts. Comment if you think this team is going. Well, how about predictions on where you think we're going to go? And we have a largely green fan base, so I'm sure we're going to say people are going to say titles. But let's be honest with ourselves. We're in the current state of a very strong first 6-man rotation with a lot of question marks at the 7, 8, 9 spot, which. And then obviously barring health, hopefully everyone's healthy, but this isn't a perfect system. Guys do get banged up and hurt. So, realistically, as things stand, how do you feel about it? Do you feel like we need to get some new pieces or a new big or somebody, a solidified 7th man, or do you think that Sam Hauser and Payton Pritchard got what it takes to fill those roles? Let us get a 4-game summary on how you're feeling.
Yeah, I mean, that is a really good question, because even when you were asking it, I was sitting here thinking like maybe Brad Stevens goes out and tries to make another move for someone to come in and be that 7th man. But you know what? After the last game, I'm gonna give him a break. I'm gonna say Payton Pritchard, Sam Hauser, continue to do this, and you're gonna be here for a long time. But if they do struggle over the past 2, 3, 4 weeks from now, I wouldn't be surprised if Brad Stevens, either at the buyout market or for a trade. I wouldn't be surprised if he does add another body to this team, but I feel like we have some decent options. You like Delano Banton, right? I think Delano Banton could be a decent acquisition.
I like Delano.
Lamar Stevens has showcased. So we have guys.
I think we just need to get the full sample size in. It's been 4 games, and guys have sucked for, let's be honest, 3 games, and they've been good for 1. So, but let's give them more than just 4 games, right? Let's give them a 12, 15 game sample size. Let's see what they're doing. Are they producing as often? Can we get a 50% production ratio from them? Because let's be honest, I mean, there's a reason why they're the 7, 6 guys. 8 guys in the rotation. They're not Tatum and Brown, right? So we got to just temper those expectations. They're not going to come out and kill every single night. But if you can get a good percentage of, hey, 50% of the time this guy's on the court, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. Okay, let's ride with that. Unless we can find something that is, like you said, in the buyout market, something that is just like, hey, we can't pass this up. We got to add this kind of guy. He's going to make all the difference for us. A late season acquisition, something along those lines where you can kind of plug the guy into the system without fucking up the chemistry, because as you know, that is the most important thing. We are riding pretty high. Guys seem to be gelling. Let's not mess that up.
Yeah, I mean, I do have the utmost confidence in Payton Pritchard. I think what he showcased in the preseason was amazing. I know it was preseason, but it just goes to show how when he's hot, he's almost unstoppable. I mean, he was shooting from 28 feet, 29 feet, 30 feet at times. I mean, the man can score the ball, and if he can find that consistency in the regular season, I mean, he's going to be tough to defend as well. So just another headache for opposing defenses. So yeah, just want to see some more consistency out of those guys. Hopefully they continue to build that chemistry, build the confidence, and because they're going to be huge. I mean, yeah, we have a great starting five, but those guys off the bench are, so important as well. So,
Right.
but let's talk about some games coming up. So, Saturday, we play the Brooklyn Nets. Not a great team in the world. They're 1-2 right now to start the season. They have Mikal Bridges. They got Cam Thomas, who's been absolutely lighting it up. Ben Simmons is a guy who, he's a good defender, really good defender, can rebound, can pass the ball a little bit. Not too much of a scorer, but the Nets are not a bad team. I mean, they were good last year in terms of, just beating expectations, I want to say. But
yeah, for
they
sure.
could
Especially
surprise
after they
you.
blew it up.
Yeah,
especially after they blew it up.
They could definitely surprise you. So this is not going to be a gimme. This is not going to be someone where we walk in. I don't think we're going to win by 50. But who knows? I didn't think we were going to beat the Pacers by 50, although they were missing Halliburton. But I think the Nets would be a tough game. We walk into Brooklyn. I think we win this game. I think we come in. I think we go 5-0 at this point. I think we go 5-0.
Yeah. Yeah, I made this prediction in an earlier show. If we got to the Brooklyn game and we were undefeated, we would stay that way. I don't see the Brooklyn Nets giving us enough for us to. Yeah, they got a couple of nice young pieces, but if this whole team is playing, if everybody's healthy, they don't have what it takes to stop us. And Ben Simmons would have to step up and fill an offensive role that he just hasn't filled yet this year. So unless he's doing that, I think it's a comfortable win. They win by 12, 13, pretty comfortably.
I could see that too, especially because the Nets have Cam Johnson and I believe Nick Claxton is out. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comment section down below, but I haven't seen them play at all this season. And then we take on the Timberwolves. And I think the Timberwolves might be our toughest game yet. Anthony Edwards is on a tear. You have Karl-Anthony Towns. You have Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley. They have the veterans in there as well. So
I like Mike.
I like Mike too. That was someone who I wanted the Celtics to grab if we didn't grab Drew Holiday. I thought Mike Conley would be a perfect fit over here. But listen, I'm loving Drew Holiday. So I'm thinking that happened for a reason. But Timberwolves would probably
he's a better player than
Mike. He is.
I agree.
I think the Timberwolves could be our toughest matchup yet.
Yeah, this is a sneaky one because, again, you're not going to beat every team you're better than. Are they better than the Timberwolves? Yes. I love Anthony Edwards. He's probably one of the funnest, newer, dynamic players in the league. You know what? This would not be a surprise if we took a loss here. Again, guys, let's temper expectations. Let's be real. It's an 82-game season. We're not going to go 82-0. So let's not jump down our throats for guessing losses here. I'm going to drop this as an L. This will be the first loss of the Celtics season. We will drop to Toronto. Is it a home game or an away game?
It's in Minnesota.
We're gonna drop one to the T-Wolves in Minnesota to start the season.
I think they have the offensive firepower to. Like, all it takes is the Celtics have one bad shooting night, and things could fall on our face. And
it's gonna happen, man.
It will. So hopefully it's not against the Timberwolves. But the next game we play in Philadelphia. This will be interesting because
win.
Okay.
Win.
So if we lose to the Timberwolves, I'm gonna mark this as a win. If we win, if we beat the Timberwolves, I'm gonna say we lose to Philadelphia. I think we're going to walk in here with them losing James Harden. We're going to say, listen, we're better than this team. We're going to smack them. We're going to run them out the building. And I could just see the 76ers. They always fight, man. They always are gritty. They're going to do what it takes to be in the game. So I feel like Philly might come out here and surprise us.
We always beat them in the first. I can't remember. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Go back, and I don't see a matchup. The first matchup of the season, we played them, and they beaten us. So we always get the best of them. It's usually mid-season, end of season, they get the best of us. So, so I'm going to say win here. I think we're going to win this game. I know I said earlier that they're a team that we could take an L from any given day that we play them, and I do think that. And I think that, we'll play them a couple of times and we'll split, or, we'll win 2, they'll win 1. I don't know how many times we play them this year. I know it's usually like 3 or more times. But we'll get a couple of cracks at them. They'll beat us 1 or 2 times. We'll beat them 1 or 2 times. I do think this will be one of the times though that we win.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out and say we're gonna lose either the Timberwolves or the Sixers game. I think one of those games we're gonna lose.
That's fair.
Hopefully we win. Imagine we win both. What would we be? 6-0 at that point.
It'd be 6-0.
7-0.
7-0 because Brooklyn.
Yep. And then the next game is then Brooklyn again in Boston. I'm gonna give us another win there.
I would say we'll win that game.
You don't think there's any chance we split? I just don't think they're good, but I just don't think they're that good. I just don't think they're that good.
No, I could see this team catching fire, starting off the season, 15-3, 15-4 to start the season, almost
Yeah.
20 games in. I could see this team get off real hot. It's not out of the realm of possibility that we build up a 4 or 5 game lead in the East, and guys just start taking off the gas a little bit, just to start recouping their strength, their energy, getting healthy, things like that. And I think that the win-loss record might start to teeter as guys start taking rest days. I know they're not supposed to do that anymore in the league, but let's be honest, they find ways to get guys rest in any way, shape, or form, even if it's minimizing minutes. And who knows, if we keep playing third quarter basketball like we've been playing and guys been resting in the fourth, we might not need to worry about rest because guys aren't playing the caliber minutes. They don't got to play 30, 35 minutes a game. If we can keep these guys 28, 27 minutes, tops 32, you'll see a lot more longevity as the season goes. The question mark is going to be Tatum. How much is he going to care about being MVP? Is he going to be chasing MVP? Is he going to be playing minutes that an MVP wants to play? I know he cares about it. You can't tell me otherwise. I'm sure in a perfect world, Tatum would like the trifecta: finals MVP, regular season MVP, and champion. So, if you're telling me he doesn't care about MVP, you're lying. He absolutely cares. He wants to win an MVP. And he should, and he's going to win an MVP, whether it's this year or the following years. He's eventually going to win one. He is top 3 in the NBA, undisputed. I don't give a fuck. I don't care who's in your top 3. You can name it any which way. He's top 3 in the league.
Yeah,
so
he's that good.
Yeah, he's that good. So, and you could say he's number 1, and I would say, I probably wouldn't argue with you. I'd probably say overall he's the best player in the NBA as actively standing. And so, I think that's going to be a question. It's going to be, how much does Tatum care? How much does he want to play? Is he going to play longer minutes to get the 30 points? If he's at 25 and they're killing him by 30, is he going to stay in the game to get a 30 piece? Or is he going to rest?
I doubt it. I think they would rest him. But I did hear Tatum come out and say, he's not for resting. He wants to play. He's out here for a reason. People pay money to go see him play. He's not going to rest. So that is, I like that. I want that out of a player.
It's a clever way of saying I want to be MVP.
Okay, I guess. Yeah. I mean, listen, who doesn't want to be MVP?
No, I'm not saying he doesn't feel that way about the fans, and Kobe felt that way about fans, and we know how Tatum feels about Kobe. So I'm not saying that that's not genuine, but again, I don't. If he looked at me and said, "I don't care about winning an MVP," I would straight up tell him, "No, you're lying. You absolutely care about winning an MVP.
That's
you want
legacy right there. That's
I get it. Listen, and I'm not saying I don't think he's selfish for that. I don't think it's wrong to feel that way. I feel like you should be able to want to be the best, and if that's the mentality you want to bring, and if he wants to go get that trifecta, I think that would be amazing. And shit, I would love that, but. Really what I care about right now is Banner 18. That's what I'm sure they're focused on it too. I'm sure he cares about that more than anything. But, again, I'm just curious just to see how that's going to play during the season. I'm sure he wants to play games, and I'm sure he will play games. I'm sure he won't take as many rest days as some people will. But, again, the example, you're up 20. It's the fourth quarter. You got 28. Are you going to go stay in the game to drop 30, or are you going to go sit down? Because if you're staying in the game to drop 30, it's because you care about the stats. It's not because you care about people seeing you. People saw you for 3 quarters.
Yeah. So right now, Ricky, Tatum is averaging 29.8 points per game, 9.3 rebounds, 4 assists, basically 1 steal per game. Is that MVP type numbers? I'll tell you what, if we have the best regular season record, I think he's easily the MVP this year. But those numbers,
that's MVP numbers, and I think he could get it up to 31 before it's all said and done.
He might.
He might. I think he could be a 30-point-a-game player, and the way he's rebounded, he could probably average 31 and 10, 31, 9, 8. I mean, he might be able to average a double-double this year the way he's boarding. So if he does that, if he averages a double-double, it's going to – and we're the best team in basketball – statistically from a win-loss perspective, which is looking like we could very well be, then he's a runaway. He's a runaway MVP.
Yep. Okay, quick little trivia question for you, Ricky, real quick. Who do you think leads this team right now in steals per game? Who would be your best guess?
Drew Holiday.
It is actually not Drew Holiday.
Kristaps Porzingis?
No. Drew Holiday actually only averages 0.3.
Okay.
Not Porzingis either.
Steals per game. Okay, never mind. It's Derek White.
It's not Derek White's second.
It's not?
It's not.
Derek White's second? Okay. I don't know.
It's
Shit.
it's you
Is
want me to
it?
tell you?
Yeah, just tell me.
It's
Why?
JB.
Yeah, I should have just guessed
Yeah.
that. To know that you're
It's
dark, I should have
JB.
guessed. Okay.
But in terms of blocks per game, Derek White 1.3 for Derek White, 1.5 for Porzingis, and then 1.8 for Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday's our leading blocks per game right now, which is a little bit surprising. If you ask
Well,
me.
he had a bunch in that opener
Yeah, he
against
did.
with so it's not as surprising. I guess maybe that's where my head was at. But he no, I mean they've been a dog defensively, and JB's been a dog with the steals. As long as he can keep those turnovers down, he's gonna have a good year.
Yeah, and then for assists per game, honestly, it's a little bit alarming. Our highest guy in terms of assists per game is Derek White with 4.3, and then Peyton Pritchard is second with 4.3 as well. So hopefully someone can be a little bit better of a passer, but I mean, we're not doing anything too bad right now. I mean, if we keep playing like this, I'm fine with it. We don't need anyone to average 8 assists per game, but
No.
overall, I'm proud of this team. I'm happy with where we're at right now. I mean, when you can average 30 points in every single quarter of the game, you're gonna win 99% of those games for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
So overall, I'm happy with where we're at. I'm happy with the direction we're headed. We need to continue to build that chemistry. I think the most important thing is the bench play. Hopefully Al Horford and Payne Pritchard, Sam Hauser, like we talked about, can continue to find rhythm here and catch fire, because that will be huge for this team going forward. But yeah, we got a nice couple of games coming up here. Ricky, hopefully we can go 5-0. Actually, I did want to talk about the Raptors real quick. Raptors are a good team. They're lengthy. They got a new head coach over there, Darko. I forget what his name is, but they look pretty good. Dennis Schroeder has been balling out. Scotty Barnes looks like the most improved player in the league this year. He's been killing it. They have Siakam, OG, and they're a good team. I think if we beat the Nets, beat the Timberwolves, the Sixers, and then the Nets again, the Raptors will be tough to beat. It is in Boston though.
It is in Boston. I'm gonna schedule that as a win.
Okay, so you have us going 8-1.
Yep.
8-1 over these next couple of games. I think that's what it is. Yeah, 8-1.
8-1. Yep.
8-1. I would be happy with that, man. I would be. If we somehow, hopefully we don't lose two of these games. I feel like all these games are very winnable. Definitely don't lose 2 of these games. Depends.
I honestly think they're foot on the gas until they got a comfy lead, and then I think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna coast, but I think they'll strategize to still keep the lead in the conference, in the division, and while also just making sure that they're not running guys to the ground, throughout the season. So I think that there'll be a balance there. So we'll take some unusual L's to teams that, maybe shouldn't have a ability to beat us, but we're not playing guys to their full potential because, hey, we got we're 5-6 games up on Milwaukee or whatever the case may be. So it's, wherever the dust is going to be settling, come 20 games into the season, I think it's balls to the wall for 20 games. And then I think once we get through 20 games, I think you're going to start to see a little bit of a drop off, because I think guys will just slowly start circling in and out of rest. And so, if you're up 5 or 6 games into that skid, which I don't know if they're going to be, but if you're 5-6 games up during that process, you can afford to take a loss or 2. It's not really going to hurt you.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Let's keep dominating first 3 quarters, getting rest in the fourth, and we won't have to worry about resting guys throughout entirety of games. So let's keep playing like that. Let's keep playing like that, man.
Let's keep guys healthy too. That would also be nice.
Yeah, every time Porzingis jumps up for a rebound, I get nervous. It's kind of like that Rob Williams effect I had. I always get a little bit nervous because I know his history.
He's got the bug, man. He's got the bug. That's the concerning thing. The moment he feels anything, they got to put him. Say, listen, man, just rest, please, for the love of God, because this team does not need him to win 60 games. They don't. They don't need him to win 60 games. They can win 60 games without him. I want him to play so he can be ready for playoffs, but. Like, this team does not need Kristaps Porzingis to win 60 games.
Oh no, he only helps. He's only a little addition. He's amazing, but I do agree with you. But guys, comment down below. What do you think our record will be after these next 5 games? Do you think we can go undefeated through the first 9 games of the season? Do you think we lose 1 or 2? Let me know in the comment section down below. Make sure you guys follow the podcast.
Of course they do.
Spotify. Yep. They probably do. Follow the podcast on Spotify, YouTube. We're going to be dropping a podcast every single week, as well as post-game reviews or post-game reports as well. So make sure you guys join the family. We appreciate you guys coming through, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.